I played my first show when I was like 11 with this band called Harvey Milk. They played like, I played guitar and like we did Nirvana covers, and Henry Owings, who does Chunklet, he was there. He has pictures of it or something. But so that's me, that's my story. And then I went to, we moved around a little bit and I ended up in a suburb outside of Atlanta, and I met Lockett, who's my best friend, who plays guitar in Deerhunter, but he didn't play on the first record because we played music in high school, and then I'm trying to make this not really long and rambling, but he went off to college, and I ended up falling in with these like kids in Atlanta that were doing this stuff, like the Black Lips, Death Slaughterhouse scene. That's where I met Colin, and that's kind of where Deerhunter started. And Deerhunter was just like this idea that me and this drummer had to kind of like use these 4-track songs and stuff that I've been making and turn them into like songs. And then I met Moses, and then it became a little bit weirder and more like we started involving more like electronics and stuff, and I think that like it was around that time that like I'd never really listened to new music at all. I was more like exploring old stuff like Brian Eno and Bowie and a lot of Athens stuff like the B-52s and Pylon and stuff. But I'd never really listened to a lot of new bands, but Moses was really interested in new bands, and he got me interested in like some of the new like electronic stuff that was going on, like with like Black Dice and stuff. And that's kind of how it started, like moving away from being like a garage rock band. We started, being influenced by like that kind of stuff, like ambient kind of electronic music. Record was real angry and kind of dissonant, and it was a lot of it had to do with, well, first of all, like I was I was really into like the Fall really heavily and stuff like that, and and it was kind of like, it's like, when you look at your like high school yearbook picture, you're kind of embarrassed at how like impressionable you were or whatever, but I mean, like, it was very much like we were trying to make like a Swell Maps Fall kind of record, you know what I mean? And Lockett moved back, and I wanted him to join the band, and we ended up starting working on Cryptograms. The first record came out, it was just like, but it's kind of like a forced, you know, like a pre-statement. Like the first album was like pre-cum. And Cryptograms is like the full-on you know, like you hit puberty and you can actually like shoot cum across the room, you know? Like that was kind of like what like the first album was like being like 11 and like wanting to come and being jealous of your older friends that could come and kind of being like impressionable, like you want to come and you're trying really hard, but you're just like maybe at best you get like a slivery little wet, watery spurt or something, you know? Or like one time when I couldn't come yet, I was in this circle jerk with these other like 11-year-old boys, like when I was like 10 or 11, and I couldn't come yet and they all could come and I was like really embarrassed, so I peed. Like I tried to like pretend, I was like, I'm coming, and like I peed, and like they all like were like, that's not cum, that's piss, and they just started beating the shit out of me. They just started like pummeling me with their fists. That's kind of how I think of the first record. This next song is a concept map about 7th grade. Awesome! And it's no different. I mean, it's kind of a trip you gotta take with me if you want to go. It's some real 7th grade shit. And it comes out of a basement. And you're in there with your friends. And one of your friends has a pornographic videotape. And you're like, what, 11 years old? And he puts on this tape and he says, do you mind? Do you want to measure your dick with me? And I said, fuck man, I don't know. Because I felt weird about that kind of thing. But I did it, and here's what I found out. Kranky, or even had the initial idea to send anything to Kranky, because of a band called Growing, who were really awesome dudes, and they were like, you know, they were pretty like key in suggesting like send your demo to Kranky, and I don't ever deal with that. Like Moses does a lot. He would be the person to talk about that. Like I've never been like a send out demo kind of person, you know, and I don't know how it happened, but it's been the best thing ever, you know. I absolutely adore Kranky. They like, there's no pretense about it. They're not any type of genre specific label. I don't think they want to be like, I mean, the only thing I can say about Kranky is that, I mean, I think everybody agrees that they have a pretty high standard of quality, you know, and I hope we meet that. I mean, I sometimes, you know, I mean, I definitely sometimes feel like maybe we're the outsiders on the label, but I think it's really cool that they took a chance on it, you know. I mean, we do have some of those elements, you know. Like, I mean, it's like you listen to some of our more experimental stuff, and I mean, it makes perfect sense, but then, you know. Yeah, Cryptograms is like very much like not planned, the structure of it, and it's so that's why it's like it has so much experimental stuff, is because it wasn't like structured in advance. Whereas Fluorescent Gray, there's a structure because it's an EP. We were a lot more liberated by that like concept, like, you know, because I'm really into narratives, trying to establish a certain kind of narrative quality. And with an EP, it's like it's more like a short story. You can just kind of get to the point. And, you know, those songs are all kind of separate ideas. They're kind of unified by a theme, it seems like, in retrospect, or like a preoccupation, for instance, with like death or something. But I mean, like in terms of musicality, it's like they're more like individual ideas, and they're definitely like just it's like 4 songs, you know, 4 like singles kind of, you know, to me, like that's what they sound like. Like there's no downtime or dead space, you know. Not that I think that any of the ambient stuff on Cryptograms is like downtime or dead space, but it's like those things are kind of used to build momentum or lose momentum. A lot of people seem to think that that's like a mistake on our part, but it's like it was like as intentional as it can be, being stream of consciousness. That sounds pretentious. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like I like the way the momentum builds and relaxes on the album, and on the EP, it's just the cum shots. walk into the sun. We walk, we cannot run, because walking's half the fun. We walk into the sun, and neon blurs my sight. I'm guided by strange lights. I'm rattled and I'm stunned as I walk into the Well, the videos were done by our friend James Sumner, who is a rad dude who does a lot of video experiments and projects. And he did an entire DVD for Dirty Projectors, this amazing band from New York, who like I can't tell people enough to check out because they're like mind-blowing. And he did like, that's how I met him, was I had never heard of Dirty Projectors, and my friend Randy, who puts on shows in Atlanta, he does this thing called Type Bros. He put on a Dirty Projectors show, and they were showing the DVD that James had done, and I wasn't gonna go, and it was at this like art gallery in Atlanta, and he called me up and he's like, get up here like right now, you're really gonna regret it if you don't come up here. And I was like, I have like a class tomorrow. And so I ended up going, and I was like blown away, and I met the dude, and I was like, I definitely want to work, and we kind of hit it off. We just had, he's kind of just like part of the family, like immediately, and the video like is just his, I just did what I was, I didn't have anything to do with it. Like I just sat on the bed and got beaten up. For one thing, nothing will ever change for me psychologically touring, because like it's kind of like a tape loop thing going on where it's like I start realizing like, oh, I've been here before, like, and like it's really, like I don't know, the experience is really dehumanizing and weird, and like I mean that's kind of part of why the performances sometimes get a little bizarre, is because when you're forced to like get on stage every night and like, I mean, I guess one of the things to answer one of your questions, like the way things have changed since like this like album, and I guess whatever attention or whatever is like, the shows, of course, like there's more of an audience there, like, and the audience is definitely like, I get this vibe when I walk out on stage that it's like, it's very much an on the fence audience. Like it seems like the real like overwhelming atmosphere is like, prove yourself, like, all right, like are you like, are you gonna live up to this like expectation you have? So I walk out on stage and there's just all these hipsters like staring at me like, what do you have to show, like is this really like, are you, and it's just like, I don't really respond well to that. I get really freaked out by that. But then there's like these amazing kids you meet in every town. They're like, oh, this record means so much to me and this aspect of my life. And it's just like, whoa, like I had no idea that like a Latino kid in El Paso, Texas was like, our record was like a soundtrack to like an entire year of his life. Or like an entire, like a school year or something. It's like, you get these stories from kids about like, oh, like, I don't know, it's interesting because, there's so much music and so many bands that, like, the idea that somebody actually listens to your band is still kind of like whoa to me, you know. I mean, like the idea like of these shows, like the people, like I was talking to them in the van, like, you know, like the idea that 96 people in Boston would have already bought a ticket to this show, like it's like mind blowing to me. And I mean, I know like most people are like that's nothing, but like to me that's like whoa, like 96 people. But they're all related to like deep-rooted personal problems that aren't going anywhere no matter what happens, no matter how like anything turns out. And I could give two fucks about hype or any of this shit. I mean, because I think people are gonna realize in the long term that like a band like us can't survive on that. And we never asked for it, and we don't want it, and we're not trying to appeal to like uppity music snobs, and we're not trying to appeal to you know, people who aren't willing to take a chance on something that's a little bit weird, you know. I mean, like I don't know how to explain it without sounding weird, but like I mean, we find our audience all the time, and we also attract the wrong, like we attract a lot of people that are like disappointed, you know. And it's like, you know, and what might happen is like everybody's like, oh, they're not worth all this hype and they suck. And I don't really care, because I mean, we're still gonna be able to make records that we want to make, and like, if anything, that just gives us more freedom. Because I mean, what would I do? Just like try and justify hype? I mean, that's like pointless. Plus, it's just like, look at me. Like, do I look like somebody that's trying out for American Idol? Or like, do I look like I'm trying to be like an indie rock? Like, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it other than, like, I might not be here in a month, so I'd rather just, like, fuck shit up as serious as possible, you know. I sound so
That's okay.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you have to think of it like this, you know, like, the way I grew up, and the way I grew up thinking about this kind of thing, is like looking at like the cover of Horses by Patti Smith or something. And like, I never looked at the Sire Records logo or thought about how many copies that record sold. I was thinking about the fact that chick was like tranced out on like a death trip. You know what I mean? And like, that was like seriously compelling to me. And like, she was going to do what she did no matter what. And that's how I feel like, you know, that's the only thing I can relate to, is I'm gonna do what I do. I don't care if there's 15 people in the audience, or if there's 150 or whatever. I mean, it's like, you know, and if people relate to it, they'll relate to it. And if they don't, they're not going to. And then, like, you know, whatever. I mean, we'll still make our records.
Seriously. I mean, I'm not kidding.